back to the TechLounge studio here at the Hall 2 of CeBIT 2015. We're still at the Intel booth. We're still talking about technology. Well, of course, we're at the biggest IT fair and IT show in the world. I'm glad to announce Peter Gleisner. He's the Managing Director for Sales. And I was just about to say services, but that would have been so wrong.
We serve our customers.
That's actually a good one. Peter, good to see you here.
Good to see you, Sasha.
So how CeBIT very first day, and it looks like a really busy show this year.
Yeah, CeBIT is starting very strongly.
Yeah.
Good discussions with our customers. I think we have a good portfolio of products and solutions that we're showing. And we're very positive and optimistic about the rest of the week.
Yeah. So, I mean, we only had like 7 days or 9 days in between Mobile World Congress and now CeBIT. And I mean, you guys had quite some announcement during Mobile World Congress in terms of how you're bringing also new technologies that we got used to in a Core I environment down to your entry level, which was the new Intel Atom X series. So you must be really excited about this one.
We're very excited because we're completing the product portfolio into new product areas. We're becoming more competitive in the area of ultra-mobility. We're extending the reach up into data center. One topic we also discussed broadly at Mobile World Congress was network function virtualization in the telecommunications space, which is a blueprint that's been repeated in the data center. Right?
Yeah.
Large standardized servers, virtualization, standard software building blocks on top of it, and I think this is a blueprint that will work very, very well in the telco space as well.
Taking a look at the booth over here at CeBIT, it just tells a lot, how horizontally and how vertically you kind of expanded the business for Intel, right? So, I mean, we are talking about tiny Internet of Things platforms like Edison, and also embedded ones like Galileo that I actually saw on a couple of booths over here at CeBIT. Then your entry level with the Intel Atom, you sold roughly about 40 million tablets with x86 last year, Atom-based ones. So it seems like this kind of theme that we constantly have over here at CeBIT, this transformation from complete ecosystem, you really also made the transformation into becoming a very mobile company.
A very mobile and a very solution-oriented company based on standard building blocks. I think that's a unique position to be in, because on the one hand, the compute building blocks are horizontal, but the solutions that are built on top of it are vertical, and so that's been the transition we've been on over a couple of years. I mentioned telco as one area. If you don't understand the telco industry, it's very difficult to provide solutions that work across the solution stack. And the same in vertical industries like banking or retail in other areas.
As I said already, looking at the booth here at CeBIT to see, I mean, we almost have everything over here. We have a coffee machine that is running on Core i7. We have straight out of your Intel labs in collaboration with BMW, where you can see what you're doing on an automotive platform. But we can also see service solutions here, NAS solutions. Of course, your traditional premium OEMs, Lenovo is here, and Fujitsu, HP. In general, it seems like your job got a little bit busier over the years, right? Because now, out of a sudden, you also need to take care of all these different industries and markets.
It's a national evolution, Sasha, because when you're at the start of the value chain, you continuously move up further and further to understand the needs of your customers. And so the latest one is around moving from PC manufacturing to who are the end users that are using your technology, and then how do you make sure that you understand how they operate. And the results are visible at the booth here. And I think the results are also show that we're doing it from the entrepreneurs and enabling them to come up with new and creative ideas and opportunities in the maker community, as well as in very robust and strong industries.
Very interesting point. You mentioned the maker community. You've mentioned I think it's really interesting. It also tells you a lot about the transformation that happened over here at CeBIT. Very traditional B2B enterprisey fair and show, the biggest one in the world still, and out of a sudden turning into something where they're embracing, the new breed of engineers, the new breed of makers. We have startup halls over here right now. This is also having a huge influence on companies like Intel. I remember I was in Bangalore for a Mercedes-Benz hackathon about 5 weeks ago, and I still met guys over there that were talking about the Intel hackathon the year before. So things really changed, and you really embrace this community of the new talents that are out there.
Yeah. So we think that we have an opportunity to energize the digital economy because we work with the existing and existing industries. We enable the next generation and anything in between. And I think that's a very exciting place to be in, particularly at the turn of the new century. Every traditional company has to ask itself, what's the role of data? How do I manage data? How do I secure data? How do I create value? Where is my value creation in the future? Is it in the product itself, or is it about the information that I have about my customers or my product? And within that, I think Intel has a very unique role to play, and we're ready to do that.
I think the most exciting launch for me personally was, I think it was at CES 2014, when a new CEO was just holding up the Edison for the very first time, and I was like, oh wow. So what's going to happen right now is that all those makers out there are going wild and crazy, and they can't wait to get their hands on this. This year, during CES, we also saw a completely different industry embracing this. We've had a fashion designer, she was showing an Edison-enabled dress for women. This is something that would have never came to my mind like 2 years ago, and I would have never ever connected it with Intel.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because when technologies mature, they become more integrated. So if you look at the latest tablets or PCs, they're very highly integrated, and you can't really disassemble them. So you need to make technology available in building blocks so that the next generation can get accustomed to it and do new things with it. And I think that's the power of Edison, and that's the power of the maker community. And all the move into Quark and some of these architectures that actually enable the next generation to really play with the technology rather than to just use highly integrated products. And I think every generation has done that. If you look at my generation, it took 4 screws and two wires to disassemble a VW engine. Yeah. Right? But if you would do that today with my car, it's impossible because it's a computer. So you need to make the technology again available to the next generation. I think that's what's happening with Edison and some of these smaller technologies, is they're enabling the next generation to figure out what they want to do with the technology, rather than just use the products that are already developed. So I think it's an evolutionary process as well, where the next generation is creating their digital world on top of the one that has been created in the previous generation.
What I really like about Intel is that over here at CeBIT, let's say like 5-6 years ago, as I said, it was very enterprising, very B2B, and you were one of the first ones in the industry where I saw, there's a kind of new movement starting, a new strategy and philosophy of not really separating this B2B and B2C so much anymore, but really embracing what you can get out of the consumer industry, embracing what kind of impact it can also have on your traditional enterprise and B2B business. And this was basically driven by what your software group was actually doing, where it's doing all these coding challenges and hackathons. Last year at Mobile World Congress, there was an Intel hackathon, and I remember how they were queuing up around like 2 blocks because they all wanted to get in there. And we've had a booth party for developers at Mobile World Congress, and those guys were waiting for 2 hours. Well, I have to admit, they also got a tablet to develop on, but still,
that's an incentive.
This is a commitment, right? To do this, to be available for the community, and to embrace this change.
Absolutely, and if the world goes digital and it's about creating value out of digital, then software is the way to do it. And we have realized it very early on, and we've developed that further to a concept where you mentioned the hackathons. Wherever I go across Europe, big companies, banks, do hackathons. Everyone's trying it out.
Yeah.
And I think you also see that at CeBIT, where combining the entrepreneurs and the established businesses, you need to have both. Right?
Yeah. So looking at what the newest and the latest technologies that we've got right now. So I mean, as I said, you've been announcing the Intel Atom X series. You're bringing a Cat6 LTE modem onto this platform. So basically, transforming the entry-level market with technologies that are coming from your latest Core I's and making it, in general, a better experience at a very, very competitive price point. You've been challenging right now the IoT, the traditional IoT infrastructures with Edison, with Quark, and you connecting, you're one of the huge enablers of the Internet of Things. We've been talking about the automotive platforms over here, and we already have the Core i7 coffee machine. What's next then? Well, what's left?
What's next? What's next is, better and better integration of the three pillars that we have been on strategically for a couple of years: compute, communication, and security. And how do you bring the three together? Because if one of them is not integrated at the right level, then it creates a slowdown. And I think security is one that, as we move in compute and communicate, security is the third pillar that needs to be further integrated to accelerate this.
So integration, therefore, also, of course, drives your sales, can also drive innovation and help you to innovate any further then. So
ultimately, it's Moore's Law at work.
Yeah.
Right? And we see that in more areas.
Well, you've been proving this for over 4 decades right now with the Moore's Law, right? So, and it still continues. Like I said, you've had quite an impact on the mobile market last year. Over 40 million tablets so far on an x86 architecture. I bet you're going to continue the success right now with the Intel Atom X series. And of course, you've been also heavily hitting the smartphone market. One of the biggest, it's quite interesting to see that because we were based in Taiwan and we saw what happened to a manufacturer like Asus, which is running a Zenfone on x86. So from zero, from announcement, which was January of 2014 at CES, the new Zenfone line, to become the market leader in Taiwan on a very competitive market.
Amazing.
It took them 10 months.
Yeah. And we were there at the launch event last year, and I think it was in April.
Yeah.
It was just phenomenal. And what Asus actually brought out was really, really resonated well in the market. And I think it's an example of two strong brands coming together and making a difference. And I think this is one of the strong value points of Intel is the partner. We operate in partnerships, and when we team up and partner, we connect the dots in the ecosystem and to create win-wins for both the partners.
And you can be sure there's happening even more with this because the Zenfone 2 just got launched in Taiwan. So we have one in our Taiwanese office, and we should have the review out by, I would guess, next week. Absolutely amazing device, amazing price point, and running in on Intel Atom architecture. Peter, thank you so much for joining us over here. Very, very exciting times. We're going to have a little bit of a break right now, and then we're going to be back, talk to the guys from Vodafone for the next hour. A little about infrastructures, how the 4G network looks like. Und jetzt können wir auch wieder Deutsch reden. Natürlich, wir haben jetzt für euch ein kleines, nein, wir haben sogar 2 Videos. Wir nehmen diese Kamera jetzt. Wir haben sogar 2 Videos für euch vorbereitet. Chippy und der Rob Vegas, die waren bei Fujitsu gewesen und schauen sich da die neuesten Geräte an. Fujitsu haben wir aber auch, glaube ich, auch noch mal die Woche mit drin. Aber immer wieder spannend, weil das eine der wenigen Firmen ist, die zum Teil auch in Deutschland produziert und vor allen Dingen auch hier auf der CeBIT wieder immer interessante Enterprise-Lösungen, unter anderem auch im Laptop-Bereich vorstellen. Das dauert so etwa 10 Minuten und dann sind wir wieder zurück. Bis gleich.